What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode, another hangout. We are the Tired Dads Comic Club. You too can be a tired dad. You don't need to be a dad. You don't need to be tired, but let's be honest. If you're watching this, you probably are tired just by virtue of, your life. Uh, really, you just need to love comics and want to talk about them. And in that vein, we have invited our first member officially into the Tired Dads Comic Club, our friend Delta Treon. You know him from his Transformers YouTube channel. You may know him from his Delta Comics YouTube channel, where he talks about all the comics that are not Transformers. Delta, how you doing? How you sleeping these days?
Sleeping, not so much.
Yep.
Doing very well because we're here to talk about comics, and that's basically what I live for at this point. Well, I live for a couple things, but comics is pretty high up on the list.
It's one of them,
You know,
right? Yeah.
that is why we have this all going here. We have a group chat going on, the three of us, that actually came out of one of your videos that you were doing, and then has
Hmm.
just kind of evolved into a life in comics chat. And so when Carl and I
Hmm.
were kind of planning out the episode progression here for Tired Dads and how we wanted to go, it only made sense that as we invited other tired dads into the club, that Delta, you would be the first to come on here. So thank you so much for giving us some of your time. We're happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. I always love talking comics, and I always love helping you guys out wherever you need it.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you
Speaking of
for being
that,
here.
if anyone has not already seen it, I would highly suggest everybody go on over to Delta's main channel and spend an hour of incredible time watching his retrospective on almost every single Daniel Warren Johnson comic ever, where you can see some truly horrendously lit footage of me for about 5 seconds. But you can see the history of basically DWJ, who, of course, we are all great lovers of here in the club, starting from his early work doing webcomics all the way up, really going deep dive, beautiful editing. We will be leaving a link belowhand, but just really top-notch stuff.
Thank you. I would love to say that after I made that video, that was my second video on the channel that clocked in over an hour. And I thought, you know what? I'm done. No more videos that are over an hour. It's just too much work on my part. I'm just going to make 10 to 20-minute videos. I'm now putting the finishing touches on a video that's going to be probably an hour and 20 minutes. So somehow I keep doing it. I don't know how.
And if anyone has not seen these videos, my solution, the longer a video gets, is just the less and less I edit till like you get to the end. And then just like you see me like walk off screen for like 5 minutes because I'm just so over it that I'm missing clipping those sections.
It's artistic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You hear like
sure,
some
sure.
books shuffling
Delta's
around,
not doing
moving
that.
things around.
You're
Yeah.
still from beginning to end. I've seen some of the editing, snippets that I've seen, and it's just God
That's why I'm
bless you, sir,
tired.
for doing it because I ain't doing that.
That's
That's why I'm
what
tired.
when I was like really falling in love with the Transformers Danny Warren Johnson series, I was just kind of hungry for more content looking on YouTube, and I stumbled upon Delta your video, and I was like, oh man, this guy is like, I love hearing him talk about comics,
No,
and I
thank you.
love seeing that, like, now that you're kind of branching out into
Mhm.
other stories and other comics, and it's like a whole new world for you. And I think that's,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
not brand new world for you, but as you kind of
Oh,
revisit
no.
and
Yeah.
rekindle, a love of
It
comics.
is.
So
I always tell people I did not really grow up with comics as a kid. Well, they weren't banned or anything in my house. We didn't really have them. And so I read other Transformers comics in the past, but this most recent run from Daniel Warren Johnson opened my eyes to his work, which then opened my eyes to all of comics in general. And now I spend literal hours at bookstores. And that's coming from a guy who's probably not read an actual book in a long time, sadly, I know. But I'm
I,
getting there. I'll get there.
I hear it all the time, like, oh, it's not real books. Like, whatever, I don't care. I can do what I
Yeah.
want. I love comics.
I don't
So
know. It feels like a book to me.
yeah, yeah.
I will say I still do read prose. I tend to do more audiobooks these days, but I do,
Hmm.
I love the feel of it. But
Yeah.
especially as I've gotten older and my free time that I can dedicate to something like that is gone less and less.
Hmm.
I find that comics work so well for jumping into something since when I'm sitting down with a prose novel, there's almost a warm-up phase where it's like you have to sit, you have to get into it. It's like you have to get into the headspace, you have to put yourself in the world
Yeah.
there. and that takes a little bit of time. So if you're doing the whole reading, what? Hold on,
Hmm.
hold on. Okay. Yes, I will go get you juice. Can I just?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're
Yeah.
getting up and going there. It's honestly that ebb and flow makes it really tough for me to read sort of traditional prose in a way
Yeah.
that comics, because of sort of that visual aspect of the medium, almost shortcut it, that I can just pick it up and sort of be immersed in the world and be ready right away. So while I do still love that, I have consciously shifted a lot of that sort of purposely as a way to allow myself to put myself in that world as my time gets shorter and shorter. So I think that's perfectly appropriate.
And that's the
Hmm.
thing. Like there's we've talked about it. There's so many stories out there that are so engaging, so emotional. It's not comics as we have known them to be right now. And there's just so much out there to discover. And that's why I'm kind of jealous of you, Delta, because there's so many things that you have yet to read, and I'm
Hmm.
excited for you. So
But wait, you guys are going to shame me for not reading things.
I
Wait
mean,
a
I
second.
mean, I mean,
Wh-
on the couple things we're going to shame you, and then the other stuff you can get excited about. But yeah,
To be
Okay,
fair,
my
yeah,
we're here to shame each other. This is
yeah.
a
that's
safe
true.
environment,
Yeah.
a
You're
shameful environment, but a
yeah.
safe
Yes.
one. It's communal shaming.
We
Yes.
just
Yeah.
bring a guest on just to
We
be
wouldn't
like,
say
what
things
is
like that.
wrong with you?
Yeah, yeah, no, that was the whole
Yeah.
nice things that we were saying at the beginning, was just kind of put your
Hmm.
guard down, and then it's like, hey, so why are you bad? Why are you
Yeah.
bad at reading comics?
It's like
Be better.
an AA meeting almost. There's not a
I,
banner button.
Yeah.
that does bring us to our topic of the day. But before we do that, Delta, we found out what's going on with you, Carl. How you doing? How's your sleep going?
Uh, you know, great. Just great. Our we got my son a loft bed for his birthday, and he likes it, but still ends up in our bed in the middle of the night. And he is one that does not like to sleep between us. He likes to sleep across us at times, and it's just what they do. I'm like, come on, man, can you
D-
not just do that? But
do you end up waking up with the foot in the face or the fist?
I get the foot.
Okay.
Because usually it's like the head goes towards mommy and kind of like snuggles in there, and I get the foot like on the face. I'm like, come on, man. So whatever.
So
And I know that there's going to be a day where I'm going to miss that, but like right now, it's like, come on, man, stop it. But the
I believe
cruelties of
they call that
parenthood.
Stockholm syndrome, the day that you wake up and you're like, man, I miss being kicked in the face repeatedly while I'm trying to do my most
Uh,
treasured activity of sleeping in my limited time. Yes, yes. But that does bring us to our topic of the day. So this being the Tired Dads Club, oftentimes we resort to the phrase, "I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed," and not just with our kids, with our everyday life. So for this particular episode, we have gotten together, and two of us are going to take turns shaming the other person, not being mad at them, just disappointed that some of our favorite comics they have, for whatever reason, not read. So we have, prior to this, gone through with each two pair, chosen a book that the two of us or them have read that the other has not, and we're just going to spend a little time finding out why the heck they didn't read that and explaining to them why they need to read that. Should be a lot of fun, and hey, anytime we get to lay that guilt trip on, I'm there for it. So, Carl, Delta, would you guys like to go first and lay the verbal smackdown on me as far as why I haven't read?
I think it's only fitting. Um,
Absolutely.
I will I'll do the honors here. We got together and thought, there's a book that Delta and I both read and thoroughly enjoyed it. Another early conversation we had about, outside of Transformers, about a separate comic, and it's Frankenstein, the Skybound Universal Monsters series of books they've been doing. They started with Dracula, and then they did the Creature of Black Lagoon and Frankenstein. And this is Michael Walsh did the art and the story, and there's coloring by Tony Marie Griffin. Now, I love what Skybound
Before,
has been doing. Oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no.
Michael Walsh, if that's a
Hmm.
familiar name for people out there but can't quite place it, Right now, he is most notable as being the artist on Exquisite Corpses, which we talked about on a previous episode, and he's also the driving force behind Image's previous horror anthology, The Silver Coin.
Yeah, he's got a really. It's also, and I know you're kind of a fan of Exquisite Corpses, and you read Silver Coin too, right? Like
Yep,
that's is that yeah. So that's it's again, it's like why has Frankenstein not come across your radar yet? Which I'm disappointed in you, man. And it's rare that I can even say that to you because usually it's like Bunk has like a list of things that I've never read, and I'm always on the like, oh, I'm sorry, I know, sorry, man, never read it. But this time, no excuses. Um, but it's so Delta, why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about what you like about this and why Bunk is incredibly wrong for having not picked this up yet.
that's fair.
Yeah, I grew up with Frankenstein, the original Frankenstein movie that most people know. I have even read the original novel at some point in my life. I don't remember when. And so for me, I've never been super involved in the Universal Monsters world, but Frankenstein and Invisible Man have kind of always been my favorite. And I was not aware that Image was doing these books with these monsters. It was seeing this first cover that really intrigued me, this idea of kind of getting a look beneath the monster. And the book has done a really good job of that, not necessarily changing the classic tale of Frankenstein, but rather expanding it. And I'll just show this first page here, with kind of showing you how this monster came to be. Obviously, I think we all know that Frankenstein is the uh, doctor scientist who creates Frankenstein's monster. And so there's still an aspect of that tale that, the monster itself is really kind of a tragic tale, and Frankenstein himself is the real monster. But it's interesting to see this evolved in a way. And I think the greatest part about this is the fact that the story is, for the most part, told from the eyes of a child. And Carl, I don't know if you kind of want to pick up from that because
Yeah.
it's a really
So
cool idea.
yeah, what I love. So it takes the frame. Have you read Dracula, Bunk? The Dracula. I mean, actually, yeah, Bunk. Have you
Are we
read
talking the Universal
the
Monsters
Universal?
Dracula
Yeah,
or
the
the like
James
the
Tynion,
novel?
the Universal Monsters, James Tynion and Martin Simmons.
I have
Oh,
read none of the
okay,
Universal
okay,
Monsters Image stuff,
cool,
so no.
cool. Yeah. So, uh, similarly to the Dracula book, it Frankenstein weaves its way through the plot of the movie, the original 1931 film. So you see events happen in the comic, but then you are introduced to this boy who is kind of viewing these events as they happen as well. Um, what is really interesting is I think uh, it answers a question about something that I don't want to say too much, but I want to let you know the good premise and like when Delta held up the that opening spread where they
Hmm.
you learn where the body parts come from, and each issue is about a particular body part. So it's the hands of the father is chapter one, and um, the hands of the monster are actually the hands of this boy's father who passed away. So he kind of watches them, desecrate the grave, and they take his hands, and he is then just throughout the book he's following along like what are they doing. Then they move on to each subsequent issue. It's where those particular body parts came from, and in using those body parts where some of the characteristics of the monster in the film came from. So you kind of see how the mind behind the monster and how the character came together, literally.
So that sounds pretty neat. I do have to ask Delta real quick. You being the foremost expert on Transformers comics, is Optimus Prime a Frankenstein? I'm hearing the hands of the father, and I was going to say he is himself cobbled together with parts from a dad. Uh, in the new Skybound series.
He's got
Uh,
the
you-
the,
he's
the, the
basically
heart
the
of the
all-spark
father.
of the dad,
Yeah, yeah. He's
and
This guy?
he that guy, yeah, that guy.
No, I wouldn't say Optimus is a Frankenstein. There is a Frankenstein's monster in Transformers. Carl, I'm blanking on his name. That Autobot
Shredhead.
from Generation 1. They basically do cobble together a bunch of Autobots to make a Frankenstein. What was his
The
name?
Shredhead you're talking about?
No, not Shredhead. From Generation 1 cartoon.
Oh, I yeah, that's the thing. There's so many things about Generation 1 that I still I've not watched most of the cartoons in
Hmm.
years, and not like Moon, our friend Moonbase 3, who has an extensive knowledge of both all
Hmm.
the comics, the cartoons. That's not me.
I'm
I'm a guy that kind of got back into it with the comics,
I'm pretty
the
sure
current series.
Dracula even shows up in the original cartoon, so you'd be surprised what they threw into that cartoon back then. They were running out of ideas after a while, and they were like, just put it in. But no, I think Frankenstein's monster is a much better Frankenstein than Optimus is, especially at this point.
As a non-joke question here is again, for someone who hasn't read this for you guys, I will be honest. I do not care much for the Universal monsters and especially Frankenstein. Like as a
Mhm.
property, doesn't really do much for me. Never
Interesting.
has.
Yeah. So,
But
wow.
I'm as a fan of Michael Walsh, outside of the creative behind this, tell me what about this series is going to draw someone like me in who does not care about sort of the license part of this book.
I'll start with it being Walsh's art. I mean, he has, and actually the idea came from something that he's long had this idea for a Frankenstein story, and then it just kind of, um, if I remember, I think it's in the book where it's an interview. I think in the book where he talked about how he had this idea, and then Skybound got the license, and he was approached to do it, and then he said he couldn't because he had something else lined up. It fell through, and then things happily lined up that he could actually do the book. So he had this idea years ago, and uh, but the art itself is he's. I mean, I this was the first thing that I read of from Michael Walsh, and his art, the tone, he has a knack for horror, and it's just and the colors in the book as well really kind of set it apart. I know you're not really a fan of the movie so much, but there are scenes from the movie, but they're done in these like that is limited color palette, but
Hmm.
incredibly striking. And
So in that image, that's the first thing that kind of hits me is just the use of the white, the black, and the green. Is the whole book presented like that, or is it just like that double page spread they kind of pull back to give that more of a striking image?
that's the moment of the lightning, hitting and,
Mhm.
and animating the body. But no, there is I mean, just get some other stuff. It's
I do
there's
think
some
it could have been black and white or limited color palette
yeah.
because these are very nice as well.
But there are some greens that's still lingering from the scene that just happened, but there are each page, it's not an extensive color palette.
Is
um
it is it generally kind of muted, or is it just because that's sort of like in Frankenstein's castle by the look of it, and then like once you go in the outs, I mean, I assume if
it's
you're grave robbing a dad from a grave, that's
It's
gonna
very
be
muted.
yeah.
yeah, it's
Okay.
very muted. I mean, even
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm just gonna try to find like even like there's a this is an exterior shot in the rain, but not all color would be absent in the rain, but here, you know
Hmm.
it's primarily, but it's very very muted, which is
So
why in those moments where that the green color really splashes, it denotes a key moment, and that's what you want to see.
Delta, I'm not really someone who goes out of my way, not just for Frankenstein, but really for horror in general. I would not say
Hmm.
that's a genre that I gravitate to. Again, love Michael Walsh's stuff. Not so big on Frankenstein. Talk to me, like put that shame on me. What is it that I'm not grasping about this book that is just, that absolutely should have, I should be champing at the bit for this that I'm not, and I'm a fool for doing so.
Sure. So I'm actually with you. I'm not a horror guy. It's not in my veins, not in my blood. And I understand why Frankenstein is classified as horror. I don't find it horrifying in any way or scary in any way. But what surprised me so much with this book, because I read it digitally when it was first coming out, was the deep meaning it had behind its characters. And I'm trying to say this without spoiling it. The the extremely mature message that it has at the end about um trying to play God, which I think we're all kind of familiar with when it comes to Frankenstein, but also the message that it has for um, being fueled by hatred and revenge, and what living a life like that can be, and how something like that may possibly destroy you. Again, I'm trying to skirt around the edges here. I feel like the last issue, even the last couple pages, probably the last, let me see here, the last 4 or 5 pages, I think, is the reason why you should read this book, because while the concept displayed is not original, it's done so incredibly well that I think when you close the book, you're gonna sit there and go, man, that was really, I really felt that. It's not a new concept in your head, but it's this deep, resonant feeling of I really understand what the creators are trying to tell me here and the message they're trying to imbue into me.
So what you're saying is I can just skip out on the rest of the book, just go right to those last four and be like, cool, done,
Got
read
it.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, I,
I
I do love a
actually
good short read.
Yeah, I enjoy that it's a short read. I've always been kind of on the fence of if the series could have used an extra issue. Part of me says, "Oh, I would have wanted one more issue to kind of fill more out this specific idea." But then at the same time, if it had one more issue, I might have slowed down on it and not finished it. I think it's the perfect length because there are a couple moments in this book where I was like, "All right, let's." Like I know this is important, but I want to get back to the main stuff. But I think because of its short length, how many issues
That's
is
what I
it?
was going to ask there.
Four issue series.
4 issues? Okay, I always forget. Um, I think 4 issues is just the perfect amount.
And
And again, the ending I think makes it.
it also it makes sense in that, each issue is a certain body part, and they have another issue of like which like, oh, that's his upper arm, that's where that came from, like that doesn't really create much,
Where did he get his
it's
scapula
right,
from?
right. It's because you learn where his eyes came from, the brain, the hands, and the you learn a bit about the humans who previously were
Mhm.
using these parts, and you kind of learn about their characters. But for me, Bunk, why Frankenstein is that Frankenstein, well, the monster, is a very sympathetic character. I view him as a product of bad parenting, because he didn't ask
He could
to
use a
be
tired
created.
dad.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, hey, Victor, take it take a rest. Maybe don't play God. Um, but it's the fact that you know he has these impulses that he's not he's not violent to be violent to out of joy of being violent. He's a scared child, and he doesn't
Mhm.
have the capacity to handle those emotions. So that's how he reacts. And the some of his most tender moments are when he interacts with other children. So that's why I liked seeing in the movie, um, he interacts with a little girl, and that's where the flower comes from. And spoiler, it doesn't end well for that little girl,
Mhm.
but not out of him trying to harm her. He just was playing with her, and he's just incredibly strong. So
Oh,
it's
I think I
that
read
aspect
that.
of
It was called Of Mice and Men.
it's very similar, but it's that aspect of the monster that I really um I don't want to say relate with, but I connect to him in that way because it's not really his fault. And again, this is a book that asks the question of, who's the monster here? Is it this monster? Is it the person that created him? And ask those questions. Exactly. I love that
Perfect
cover. That's
cover.
the issue
Yeah.
4. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
So
It's cover A, I can tell,
Yes,
because
yeah,
it
yeah.
says it.
So, yeah.
but that's I think the in for you as far as what you might get out of it. Now, I will say this: if you are not a fan of the movie, I think you would miss some things. The same thing with Dracula. That was my critique for the Dracula series that Tynan did. Is it focused on what's his face? I think
Renfield.
Renfield. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Hmm.
Um, and it didn't connect to the movie well enough. And it really had you really had to have watched the movie to and then read the story to catch those moments to fill in those gaps. Here, I don't think you would have had to have seen the movie recently to understand it or to get the most out of it. And the concept of introducing the child really helped. Because you're seeing the story through his eyes, so you don't necessarily have to watch the movie, but there are characters that come in and out of this book that are from the movie, and it progresses the plot of the movie. So you get more
Hmm.
out of it, but it's not a necessity to have watched the movie.
Now, when you guys keep talking about watching the movie, in my mind, you're talking about Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein, which is my favorite portrayal of Frankenstein, and I've definitely seen that multiple times. I'm right there with you. I don't remember a little girl, but I am looking forward to when he dances putting on the Ritz.
Wait, are there other versions of Frankenstein? I
Not that
thought it
I
was
know
just
of.
that. I thought it was just that one. Yeah. Yeah. So you might miss out a little bit, but it's still an enjoyable read outside of that.
All right. So I gotta say, having heard both of you guys talk about it, hearing the passion, kind of getting the it's horror, but it's heart, it's longing, it's wanting more. I gotta say, I'm feeling a certain sense of shame right now. So I gotta ask for both of you. As we talked about before this started, I have a lot, as you can see behind me, in my to be read pile. In fact, Carl, you were just on a show with me where we, presented some of those and had things chosen. So obviously, I've got a lot to work through. You're bringing this here. You both love this book. Is this a you got to stop what you're doing, go out and read it? Is this a you got to rearrange your pile and make sure it's up there, or is it you got to read it within the next 5 years? How would you sort of classify this, both to me and sort of someone watching in general?
I hearing you talk about your disinterest in the Universal monsters, I would rank this lower on your pile. I think it's a good, we've got Halloween coming up. I think it's a good seasonally appropriate comic to sit down and dive into. Is this going to change your life? No. Is this a perfect comic? No. But it's one that I thoroughly enjoy.
I
I
agree.
would say at
Hearing,
least the next
go
5 years.
ahead. Yeah, hearing your view on the Universal monsters in general already helps. But I would also say I think that this is a great read. I know for myself when I'm reading through a really large series and I've read, a big hardcover or multiple issues of a series and I've finished it or I need a break. This is a good light read, something quick that you can, hey, I'm gonna read this real quick. Oh, cool. And then I'm gonna put it aside and maybe I'll come back to it. So I think it's a good palate cleanser almost in that sense as well.
I do have to say, I actually am a great lover of the 4 issue miniseries format. I don't think we see it enough, and I think it's tough to write an effective 4 issue miniseries for exactly what you're talking about because we are so used to stories being about 122 pages.
Hmm.
But I think, especially as we have seen comics, really since Bendis in the early 2000s rose to prominence, stories have become over time more and more deconstructed, given a lot more room to breathe. That I think there's something very refreshing about a 4 issue miniseries that's able to sort of truncate the story that you would tell over 6 issues, put it in four, and sort of trim the fat and kind of get down to what it is without losing that heart. So I do, I'm interested in that way. Like you said, it's certainly in my to be read pile. I actually had it borrowed from Hoopla a few weeks back, and just I was working through enough other things. The borrow came and went. So it is something that I meant to read. It's something I will read. I just don't know exactly if I'm going to read it next.
It's
But
fair.
speaking
It's
of
fair.
next, I think we've properly shamed me. Who's feeling like they want to get shamed next?
I feel like I deserve it. I picked a book that will not meet your drop everything requirement. So I need to feel shame. I need you to tell me something that I need to drop everything to read.
Well, I think I would say our next book I would put in the category of it's a drop everything and read. Delta, why don't you go introduce this one because this was your suggestion here.
God Country,
Mm.
man. Oh man, I have a few of the singles. I've been trying to collect singles where I can. I have issue one, five, and three. I may actually have, I think they did an issue where the artwork was sideways. I can't remember.
Is it,
Um,
is it 6 issues?
it is six issues,
Okay,
yes.
cool.
Yeah. So God Country is a comic by is it Donnie or Danny? I always forget.
Donnie
Donnie
Cates,
Cates.
and
Thank you.
Jeff Shaw, two longtime collaborators there.
And man, th this comic is probably one of the handful of times that I've cried after reading a comic. And I think it's because here's how I like to tell people about it. This is the comic I use when I'm talking to people who know that I like comics and they're kind of like, comics are not cool. Nobody, they're kind of dumb. I always tell them, hey, you should read God Country. It's a story about a guy who gets a sword and the sword is all powerful and it can talk to him and he's kind of got to use it to kill gods. And they're like, okay, that sounds very childish. I'm like, yeah, but ultimately, the story is actually about a man kind of at the end of his life, who has, I believe it's Alzheimer's. Is it Alzheimer's or okay, yeah,
Mm,
who has
And
Alzheimer's
pretty
and
pretty severe.
mm.
pretty severe Alzheimer's. And I have history with that disease. I have family members. My wife has family members who've gone through it. And even if you haven't personally experienced it, I think anybody can relate to the fact of having a loved one pretty much completely forget who you are, who they are. And this character, when he has this sword to kill these gods, essentially, he gets his memories back. And I'm being very careful in what I say because I don't want to spoil anything. It's ultimately a story, yes, about a giant sword and killing gods and, cool looking hammers and things like that. Some of the more, silly aspects of comics. But it's also ultimately about a father and son and their troubled past and learning to reconnect. And ultimately, it's also about learning how and when to say goodbye to your loved ones. That's a little bit of a spoiler, but I think we could all see it coming.
Yeah.
This comic, when I finished reading it, um, I was crying at the end of it because it left such it left such a powerful impact, and I'll show just a little bit of this scene. Um, there's such an understanding in these characters on the page. Um, and everything everybody says holds so much weight. I also love it because it takes place in Texas, and Donny Cates wrote the Texas accent very, very correctly. I'm very happy about that.
Now, before I say my piece, and I think you hit that perfectly, for the audience, for those that have not read this, and for Carl, Delta, could you go ahead, flip that trade onto the back and read for me the genre that Image categorizes this as right around the barcode?
Yeah, epic Texan battle fantasy. Is that what you're asking for?
That is exactly it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
There's not many of
for
those.
yeah, so for if you're categorizing this, normally if you look at an image trade, it like it breaks it down like mystery, like romance, things like that. That was one of my favorite little things with the trade.
That's
But
amazing.
yeah, I think that Delta hits this exactly right. And actually, I would equate this very closely in a lot of ways to a book that we actually were discussing right before we started Do a Power Bomb,
Mhm.
where from the outset looking in, Do a Power Bomb is a book about wrestling written for people that don't care about wrestling.
We have to shame him also.
More
He doesn't
shame.
have
More
this.
shame.
Oh yeah.
Wait, mine
Yeah.
looks more orange than I guess it's just the lighting.
I do not have
Um,
the hardcover
but
French edition. You
Yeah.
when you
jerks.
actually read it, you realize that it's so much more. It's about and this is not a talk about that, so I'm going to actually go ahead and skip it so I don't turn this into it. But anyone who's read that book goes, I did not expect to care about a book about wrestling. And in the same way, God Country on its surface is a book about an old dude with a pot belly who's not wearing a shirt, who gets a big old sword from space, and he has to go chop up some gods. Like, You say that and you're like, oh, cool. Did a 12-year-old write that? Was his name XXX underscore shadow one wing Sora underscore XXX? Like, it sounds like an edgelord so hard, and it really does not. At its heart, like that's sort of the window dressing for what is an inherently family story about three generations that are in danger of being pulled apart and being disassembled. The first thing that we see in this is a man going to check on his dad, who, as Delta mentioned, has pretty intense Alzheimer's and has gotten pretty violent since the passing of his wife, the character that we see, his mother. And his wife has basically said, you got to put him in a home. He can't, you can't be doing this to us. Our kid is there. She feels their child is in danger. And he says, it's my dad. I can't do that. This is a family that's about to break up over that. Just like Delta says, sword falls from the sky. When he takes it, it's not just he gets his memories, but he gets his life back. He is the
Mhm.
man that he was before. He's able to be there and connect with his son in a way that he never was able to after the death of his wife, the son's mother. And through this story, we end up getting Jeff Shaw, illustrates amazing over the top action. But at its heart, it's the quiet moments in between them when we see, the breakthrough. We see this man recognize his grandchild, who was an unknown entity to him prior to that. And the heartbreak of knowing that as these stellar entities are coming to try and take the sword, when he's not holding the sword, he is back to the old broken man that he was before, who does not have the capacity to love, to understand, and know, and feels himself being ripped apart from that. And Delta, to your point about writing that Texas accent,
Mm.
the very end of issue one ends with like the most Texas line when they're talking about basically an interstellar messenger comes and says, you have our property, you need to relinquish it, and he tells him, come and take it.
I'm gonna take it. Yeah.
And yeah, so like I said, I think anyone who has read and enjoyed Do a Powerbomb is probably going to love this book for a lot of those same reasons.
Come and take it.
I was unaware that they made shirts,
I,
and
I I feel like this is going to be what, I don't want
yeah.
to see you again on a camera until I see you have that shirt.
I looked for this shirt and these pins, and they sadly are not available anymore. Along with, and I've told you guys this, my white whale currently is the San Diego Comic-Con hardcover edition of this book, which is there's not many of them out there to my knowledge. But Carl, hopefully that
I
is
mean,
enough shame for you that I would actually spend an absorbent amount of money on a hardcover of
see,
this. And I love the fact that you mentioned Daniel Warren Johnson because it feels very Daniel Warren Johnson in the way that it has heart underneath this kind of silly exterior. It is a little bit more mature, I think, than some of Johnson's stuff, but that heart is still really there.
yeah, I mean,
And just as one quick thing before I turn this back to you, Carl, and you kind of get your chance to question about this with us. Um, Donny Cates is a guy that I don't always love his comics. I
Mhm.
always have a good time with them. But it's a lot of times I kind of feel like when I'm reading them, it's like I'm watching like a blockbuster action movie with a big old bucket of popcorn. Like I think of his Venom run, and there certainly are some aspects of that. They hit a lot of that same family stuff. They hit a lot of those things going on with the interplay of Venom and Dylan and everything that's going there. But most of it's just basically like how much crazier can we go on top of it? Like it feels in a lot of ways I feel like his stuff is kind of Scott Snyder as he went on with Batman and then Justice League and then Death Metal, where it was basically like, how much more cool stuff, like how over the top can we get? And there's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that, but this has a special place in my heart because it's Kate's rearing back. He's bringing the spectacle. He's bringing that super widescreen panoramic iMac but he's also making sure that he's got those super zoomed in moments where you get to see the rest of the world fades, the rest of it blurs, and he remembers at its heart this is a story about a family being torn apart and possibly having the chance to be brought back together if only they'll fight for it.
That's actually one of the questions I had because because I don't think I've ever written anything, read anything. Oh my God, I can't even talk. So tired.
I can
Um,
assure you, you have not written anything by
I have
Donny Cates.
I have not written
Only Donny
anything
Cates can say he's written anything by Donny Cates.
but I've not read anything. And I was going to ask actually both, but I don't think I've anything with Jeff Shaw either. So remind me what else have they worked on together? Did Shaw didn't do Venom, right? Like that was that Stegman or
Yeah, I want to say that was Stegman. Shaw, I believe, did.
not to put you on the spot. I just not familiar with.
It was the Image series he did. Crossover. I believe was Jeff
Oh,
Shaw that he did with Cates.
okay.
Hmm.
I want to say there was Shaw might have done his Thor run. I know that they've done a few different of sort of the mainstream, and unfortunately, Donnie has in recent years gone through some personal struggles that have caused him to
Hmm.
kind of pull back away from this. Very much hope the best for you. If in some crazy reason this does get to you, Donnie, uh, looking forward to reading your next thing that's out there. But yeah, he's Donny Cates is a guy who I typically think of as kind of working with a few different artists. So, it's Jeff Shaw. Like you said, it's
Stegman.
the
Daniel Warren Johnson. He's worked with Johnson.
oh, it going way back with Ghost Fleet.
Ghost
Yeah,
Fleet. Yep.
that
Long
was
time
kind of
ago.
the one up, but that was really before
Hmm.
either of them sort of became in capital letters,
Right.
Donny Cates, Daniel Warren Johnson.
Hmm.
It's kind of an interesting little footmark there. But
I looked it up because I was curious. It's they work together, God Country crossover, and then Thanos and Guardians of the Galaxy from Marvel. They work
okay,
together on
yeah.
around there, which I've not read any of that. But it makes sense if that's so. Is the family aspect is that present in a lot of Donny Cates' writing? Because I mean, I feel like if it's a Guardians of the Galaxy series, I could kind of see potentially that family dynamic coming into play too. I don't know if you've read that or not, but
In certain respects,
okay.
I don't. You're not going to get it in this degree. Delta, how much other Donny Cates have you read?
I've read through Crossover.
Okay.
His Venom run is on my list to read. I just haven't collected it yet. But right at the moment, I actually have read Ghost Fleet. But again, that's so early of his
Yeah.
work. It's almost very different. But Crossover is my main reference point for what else he's done.
The reason I'm asking about other things they worked on because I'm already sold on God Country. So it's like I don't even you don't even have to tell me more. I definitely feel the shame because it speaks to the kind of books that I want to be reading right now, and
Look,
that's
look at this. Look at that.
Look how
yeah,
pretty that is.
yeah,
He's so small right there. Look how
yeah,
small and pulled out that is, and it's just basically just a landscape.
yeah. I
Yeah.
it's it
Look,
needs to happen. When you
as a
tell me
man
like
from Texas, this is what Texas looks like.
that's Texas,
Yeah, sword included. We have
but
swords everywhere.
but it really
Can
it's
confirm. There is, in fact, a town that I've been to in Texas called Cut and Shoot, Texas. That is the actual legal name of the town,
It's a
and
great place.
every single business in town is the Cut and Shoot whatever. Because if you are setting up a business in Cut and Shoot, you would be a fool
you
not to name yourself after that.
why not, right? Yeah. But yeah, it's and Delta, you talked about the having uh personal experience with the disease,
Hmm.
and that's like it's just the idea of a person just slowly disappearing, and
Hmm.
that's tragic, and I'm sorry that you went through it, and but I am looking forward to reading about this character go through it, which is
Yeah.
I guess is a weird way
And
to say that, but I do. That's the kind of book that I want to be reading right now.
I'd love to add to anybody watching this, listening to this. I definitely can understand that the concept of this book and the idea of this book, if you've gone through this in real life, may be scary. You may think, I don't want to relive what that's like. And I completely understand that and agree with that. But I do think and again in such a crazy way for me, there's um there's something to be learned from this book. Maybe not something that people who have gone through that don't already know, but it's eye-opening in a way, and it's comforting in a way, the story, as fantastical as it is. As much as sometimes you are like, did a 12-year-old write this? As we said, there's still something comforting about this that if you have gone through that in real life, you can sit there and go, yes, there's sections of this that hit hard and kind of hurt, but ultimately this is a story that has helped me, move forward with that moment in my life, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I would absolutely agree with that. I also have dealt with that with family. I've seen the disease basically take first them and then me away from them,
Mhm.
just and the idea of going through that and sort of the pain of knowing that the person that you loved just isn't there anymore. And, sort of knowing that on one level, but refusing to give up on that person in your life. The idea that then there's a way for them to get that back, and it's not sort of like you need to like, you need to keep fighting, and as a sort of like saying, not in a blaming the patient. It's not like if you fight hard enough through it, like you can get through it, but like the
Mhm.
idea of as you're grieving the loss of this person and you're going through those stages of grief, being able to put that on back and sort of that person being able to step back and see what's happening.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful story, even for those that have been through it and have sort of seen that pain. It's yeah,
I'm
I'm
so
also
yeah.
very happy that, as you had mentioned, Bunk, that they take the time to look into what it does to families. It's very easy to think of just for in this sense the father and the son dynamic, but also how that affects the son and his child and his
yeah,
marriage, and how that disease can affect an entire family as well.
yeah. So how come you haven't read this, Carl?
Yeah, man. I'll
I
send you a
hate
copy. I
I
have
hate
four.
emotions, I guess. I hate family stories. I hate I don't know. I've got no excuse. The only thing I will say is and I think it's I mean I had heard of it before, but you guys had put it on my radar a while back, and it's one that I just haven't gotten to, and clearly I need to.
I will also say I wanted to make this quick note here. I have read some of his other work, Crossover. Crossover does not a review or anything. Crossover does feature the sword. The sword's name is Valifax in
Hmm.
this comic, and the sword kind of talks. It has a mind of its own. Crossover does feature the sword. I mean, it's called Crossover. It's Donny Cates, big crossover. And as somebody who read God Country and found it extremely moving and extremely powerful, I then immediately moved on to Crossover to get more. And after reading it, went, I think maybe I should have just stuck with God Country. So I'm not saying Crossover is horrible or bad. I'm just saying if you really love God Country, I think you're good to just kind of sit with that.
Let that be the
No offense to
experience.
Crossover.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah, no offense to it.
I would not put crossover high in my like in sort
Mm-mm.
of the Kate's hierarchy. I'd say that that's one that you're fine. Venom I think is one again like and especially Carl because I know you love a big blockbuster. I know
Mhm.
you love something like that. And again, once you get into it, you do get into a lot of dynamic of father and son going there. There's a lot of the stuff that Cates did in sort of the Marvel Cosmic Universe. Some of it spilling out of the stuff that he did with Venom that I think touches on a lot of those and is effective in different ways. If you look at it as a story outside of continuity, I really liked his Death of the Inhumans. And again, it's the Inhumans. It's looked at as a very, very sort of constrained family, that are sort of a family outside of time and society. But Black Bolt is both their king and sort of the father of this group. You look at, I'm trying to think of, this is a little bit of a deep cut. He had a comic called Vanish that I really, really liked. It got cut short, unfortunately. It only went two issues, but
I have the
that
Daniel
dealt
Warren Johnson cover.
I mean,
Somewhere down there. I guess we're gonna dig
We're
for
doing
it.
that. Yeah. Again, I
if,
guess
if
this
we're
is
if we're show and
we're
telling,
like
Oh,
100% the
by the way,
shame part.
here's the God Country side cover. I forgot I had this one.
Oh yeah.
Very nice. Which, by the way,
That's that panel. Like, isn't that
There's a crossover one that looks identical to this, and I keep grabbing it at stores thinking it's God Country, and it's pissing me off.
oh,
Oops, sorry. It's upsetting me.
all good. What what were we just looking at?
this is these are some of the pages from Vanish. So
Oh, nice. And
yeah.
Here's my Daniel Warren Johnson cover. See if I can get it without the glare.
so because it looks like it's pencils, right? Or are they just like really fine inks? Or are they those
No,
pencil
these
pages?
are pen. I in
Or are
general,
they?
I actually prefer pencils
Yeah,
over
no, no.
inks, unless someone's inking themselves, or you have a classic pair like Sienkiewicz and Cowan or
Yeah,
something
no,
like that.
I love pencils. It's harder get a good scan of pencils and on camera. It's just hard
But
to get the detail because I love pencil pieces. They're beautiful.
you asking about sort of the family dynamic. I'm just going to show you this page right there,
Mm, yeah,
and you
yeah,
tell me, does the
yeah.
family heartbreak is that
That
playing here in
that
Vanish?
that reads. That reads.
A little behind the scenes as we were talking about what book we were going to do. I came up with this entire concept because Delta, you had just read Mouse Guard, and
Hmm.
as people may know, I am a huge, huge lover of
Yeah,
Mouse Guard.
yeah,
Love it.
You can see my Saxon right there. I basically put this together as a concept because I just wanted an excuse to yell at Carl for not having read Mouse Guard.
yeah.
Um, and
You guys
even
have
with
no
that,
shortage of books that even in Delta just kind of diving back into comics and expanding beyond the world of Daniel Warren Johnson. He's still one upping me with these
but
books that I've not read yet.
I need to hurry up on Mouse Guard. That's why I
Yeah.
asked not to do it because I've only read one of the three I have.
That's still,
but
that's been on my like, oh, because I've seen that and it's something that I know that I would enjoy and I just need
Mhm.
to read it.
We've
Anyway,
double
sorry, bro.
shamed you.
Yeah, I
yeah, I
know.
was going to say
Double
consider
shame.
this
Double
consider
dose of
this a
shame.
bonus shame that
Yeah.
Carl, you get full shame. Delta, you get like two-thirds of a shame
No.
for going there. But this is I hold this book in a high enough esteem that I took this as an opportunity not to talk about Mouse Guard, and I
Yeah.
do not take those lightly. I
Yeah.
insert Mouse Guard into as many conversations about comics as I can.
I look forward to having a conversation about Mouse Guard because I need to read it, and I know we'll double back and talk about that in Delta. You can catch up too, and we'll have you back and we'll talk about Mouse Guard
Please, yeah.
because
All right, cool. Well, I think we hit exactly what we were looking for that shame with Carl. I think you guys might not have quite got there with Frankenstein for me. I think you were putting the screws on,
yeah,
pun intended, a little bit,
The
and
bolts.
and
yeah,
then you pulled back a little bit at the end. That was the shame I was looking for. That was really what I wanted to get there. I would love to see if we can get that same kind of shame with Delta when we talk about Carl, you and I teaming up. What are we making Delta sad and ashamed that even though it's on his list to read, he has not yet read it?
Well, he has recently he read a story, did a video on it, and I was very happy that he read this book, and the book is Helen of Windhorn.
Beautiful book.
Beautiful,
I got a
Beautiful.
beautiful
copy
book.
over here too.
Yeah, yeah. See,
My
that this is
I have it in the
not.
single issues. It's in my short box. It's not worth
Yeah,
getting out, but I
yeah,
have it too. I
yeah.
talked about it on a video. You guys know
Sure.
I've read it.
Sure.
It's actually I have the singles, and I instantly bought this hardcover. This is a beautiful book, and
I'm getting
um,
another one.
I
Yeah, there's a
know that
deluxe coming out in
I know,
February.
and I'm gonna buy that one too
Yeah.
because every edition of this story that I've seen is absolutely beautiful. So, Tom King, Bilkis Evely, was it Bilkis Evely? Do you know?
Belkis Evely, I
Bilquis.
Bilkis?
believe.
Okay, so,
Belkis.
but yeah, this was my introduction to like I had read. Well, the story we're going to talk about is Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. That's this is a book that I read and then I slept on not picking up Helen of Windhorn at first because I didn't it didn't I thought it was just a variant cover. Point being, because you enjoyed Helen of Windhorn so much, and because there is a movie coming out that is the basis. A lot of the we'll see how much they dive into the movie, but the comic that it's the Supergirl one tomorrow. So I don't know why. Do you hate superheroes, Delta? Do you? But I
Absolutely.
I didn't read this when it first came out because I wasn't really reading a whole lot of comics during the Infinite Frontier um, era because I feel like that was right after Death Metal, and I when that they did the whole universe reboot kind of thing, and that was my off ramp for DC Comics just because I was a big fan of the Snyder and Capullo stuff. Anyway, point being, I was not really paying attention to DC Comics at the time. I missed out big time, and now I'm here to shame Delta for not reading this because you love Hound of Windhorn so much. And I don't know how you didn't instantly go out and
It's out of stock. I'm waiting for it.
then wait a minute. I don't think that's true. I think it's in
Also, not
stock.
a sponsor.
Yeah,
Not a
They could be,
sponsor,
but they could be.
but you could
but
be.
I do love them.
ISD. Get at us.
I do love
But
them.
yeah, that's I think I've seen it available because I've only ever read it digitally, and I thought, Bunk, is there
It
is there a
So the trade did go out of print, basically once people found out that it was going to be the basis of the James Gunn movie. It went out. In fact, this for a hot second shot up and became like, a valuable book. I think at
yeah,
this point it's gone
back
back
down?
down. There's no reason this should be, worth money, but I think they've done
There's
either they
the
have done or there are more coming.
there's the
This is
deluxe
There's a
definitely a
edition.
book
compact
that
coming, I
he
believe.
is
Yeah,
going to
that's
want
true.
to really push out there. It's widely rumored that this is going to be a book that we will see getting a an absolute edition at some point, and Bilge's art should be as viewed as large as possible. So
Hmm.
Yeah, as much as I love the concept of those compact comics, the good like beach read, uh,
Hmm.
I I mean I might just buy it just to have it, but it's not the recommended format to read
Yeah.
this story because the art, like her art, is just it's beautiful. So yeah, and Delta, the thing is like you don't. It's such a standalone kind of adventure that you don't need any context of what's going on in uh DC Comics. You don't need and that's what I love about this book, and because things get so confusing when you're talking about continuity and
Hmm.
connective, and and DC's notorious for weaving in it's like, oh, if you want to get the rest of this story, go pick up issue 8 of
Yeah.
whatever, and then it's like, I don't want to do that. This is it's beautiful. It's standalone, and yeah, it got me in the feels so many times, and that's I love when comics can do that. Bunk, I'm gonna let you talk a little bit about this one because you've been a fan a lot longer than I have of this series.
yeah, I mean, first off, how long you've been a fan of something should not determine your
No, yeah,
like,
I'm just saying
but
yeah.
But Bunk is better than you, Carl.
I
oh
mean
yeah,
I
I'm
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 just
way better at liking comics than
Yeah.
you are.
Yeah, way better
he's
than
the
you
You're
are.
master. He's the
Yeah,
master.
be
Yeah.
better at liking comics. So to Carl's point, this is a book. It has Infinite Frontier on the cover. This could just as well have been a Black Label book that sort of stands outside of continuity, not from content. There's nothing in here really that you couldn't. I'd say this is a perfectly fine teen book. I wouldn't give this to my 7-year-old, but I wouldn't feel weird giving it to like a 12 or a 13-year-old. As long as I knew that 12 or 13-year-old, I'd feel weird if I just like walked up and was like, "Hey kid, here's this comic."
Is
Just
that
read
what you do
this.
on the weekends?
Yeah.
Just
Listen, we're not here to shame about outside of
gotcha.
this
All right.
activity.
I
We're
got the
only
blinders
talking
on.
about that other shaming that's not here nor there.
Gotcha.
But really, this entire book, just like Carl was saying, it's not tied really to any kind of continuity. What you need to know is that this is True Grit in space, with a powerful woman with a sword. So, whole premise is that this is narrated by a girl from a small farming planet whose family is killed by a notorious bandit named Krim of the Yellow Hills. And she goes looking for a warrior who can exact revenge for the wrong that he has done. And what she finds is Supergirl celebrating her 21st birthday on her planet because her planet has a red sun, which is about the only place that Supergirl can go and find that she's able to actually get inebriated because on her yellow sun,
Mm.
her powers are so strong that alcohol doesn't do anything. And really, all she wants to do there, she's like, I do the superhero thing at home. I'm not trying to do this. Please, let me just have my night. She does end up helping her, but it's so much about sort of them learning from each other. And it's mostly our sort of our title character, our character who's our ride along that kind of goes through the one looking for revenge. She is from a small farming community that's never really been outside. And as they go after Krim and after they look for things, she gets to experience so much more, and not just locations, but also emotions,
Mm.
finding out things. There's a beautiful moment in issue 2 that's like 3 pages of Supergirl teaching this woman how to wash her hands.
That's exactly what I was just going to talk about.
Whoa.
That's exactly. I was just going
And
to.
this goes the opposite of what I was saying about how I love a 4 issue miniseries because of,
Hmm.
it kind of cuts that sort of thing. But yeah, an entire page is cut up, multiple panels of washing her hands. Was this a book that came out shortly after COVID hit? Yes. Was this a
Uh,
PSA, wash your damn hands? Who's to say? But even if it
it's a
wasn't,
good PSA. Wash
I
your
mean, just
hands.
even if there's not COVID, like it just wash your
Yeah.
hands, like your hand, yeah. But it's the tenderness there, and it makes sense. She's from a farming community where hygiene isn't a thing that they're doing. She's
Hmm.
used to sort of having dirt under her fingernails and going. The idea of spending that time to wash and clean your hands is something that's foreign to her, and it's this moment where no words are spoken, but you get her narration as she's going through. And again, Bilkis just draws these amazing tender hands going there. Also need to give a shout out to Mateus Lopez, who does the colors on this. Believe it's the same colorist
Yes.
who did
Helen.
Helen,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and just really captures all of that. It is it's a Tom King book, so be aware there's gonna be some heartbreak. He's gonna tear these characters down before they can build them up. We get one of the most heartbreaking stories set on Krypton since probably whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow, where we get to see Supergirl's, what her last days on Krypton were, because she, unlike Cal, who was sent as a baby away from it,
Hmm.
she was actually on Krypton in the
Right.
last days of it and had to experience that. And
That's about all I know about Supergirl. That's like the one little piece I know of her
She
in
was
general.
actively trying to save people. She
mm,
was involved, actively involved in the survival aspect
yeah,
of what was happening because it wasn't like an instant planet explodes. That's that. It happens over time.
To
The planet is
collapse. Yeah.
yeah.
dying, and it's her reacting to that. So you see the humanity of Supergirl, and that issue. That's the other thing. Good job, Bunk. Let's talk about the hand
Like I
washing,
said,
and then
I'm
I was going to
better
talk
at
about the
liking
issue on
comics than
Krypton.
you. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
what you're
Clearly,
expecting.
so like, don't never let Bunk talk, out of respect, because he's going to talk about the things you're going to talk about. But yeah, so those aspects of and it's just the idea that I don't know that, be it rightfully or wrongfully, I don't know that some of these moments would play if it's Superman, because I don't know, like it's just the vulnerability of Supergirl and the humanity of having her experience that trauma is an added layer uh, to the character that brings so much, and still have all the powers that Superman is known to have, and it plays beautifully. Like I've never, it's not that I've never really been a fan of Supergirl. I just never really have read something that approached the character from this angle. And
Mm.
maybe those stories are out there. Just I just had never encountered them. But yeah, this is a book that absolutely everyone should read.
I do have a question, and that is between Supergirl. Oh, and I just lost the page. Between Supergirl and Helen, which of the two gets more drunk? Because this is a little strange. Now we have two women in these stories that get drunk. So who would you say is the worst drunk that needs more help?
Definitely Helen.
Okay,
Absolutely,
all
Definitely.
right.
Helen.
Like
Yeah,
like Supergirl, she's only going out on her 21st birthday.
Okay, right, yeah. Helen's got an actual problem.
The idea, where she is, she's trying to experience, the sort of the Earth tradition, kind of going through that. She's not going out, getting sauced every single time. This is
Hmm.
just a one-time occurrence that puts her there. She's not particularly excited to help Ruth Eyes, the character going through there, Ruthie, depending on how you pronounce it. But yeah, she is not Helen slowly going through a spiral trying to go there. She's not trying to be Clark and help everyone all the time,
Hmm.
everything. She wants to have one thing that can be her own. And
I
also,
Gotcha.
Clark doesn't need that sword. Supergirl, she doesn't need that sword, but damn, is it better because she has that sword.
yeah.
It's pretty
That was
cool.
the other thing I was going to talk about. So I like there's a nice comedy like thread, humor in this book. Superman is a very well-known character, and there are things that happen to her because of how people view Superman. And there are many moments in this book where you're like, it's just fun. It's just a good way because
Yeah.
she's got that S on her chest, but people hate her because of what Clark may have done or Kal-El would have done. So yeah, I,
Gotcha.
I, I enjoyed that in the story as well.
Hmm. I mean, this continues a long line of me not really being involved with superheroes as a child, but all the superhero comics that I have them because of their writer and artists. So this kind of fits perfectly in my,
Yeah,
not that I dislike superheroes,
and,
it's just never been an integral part of my life.
and this is the good it's a good type of story for you because it's self-contained. You need to know nothing outside
Yeah.
of who Supergirl, her powers, and that's
Hmm.
all you really need to know.
She's
Is
the one who turns invisible, right?
Yeah, 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 yep, yep,
That's
yep.
it.
Phew.
Yeah.
Her brother catches on fire. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Whew. Was a close
Yeah,
one, guys.
that's out of protest though. That's not a superpower. He was the Tibetan monk in Tiananmen Square.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Um,
Right. Right. That makes sense.
so one thing I would say about, and I think this is a good point, you pointing out Delta, that you are sort of not really involved in superhero comics. You sort of, not going there. Supergirl is inarguably a superhero. Like one look at this cover tells you everything you need to know about that character. However, I would argue that this is not really a superhero comic. This is basically a space western where
Mm.
the idea is that, in so many different, you go Magnificent Seven, you go Shane, you go any of those things, it's that classic premise of the small town, is beset by the bandits, and they don't have enough to go through there. And it turns out that luck would have it, there's a passing cowboy who is an ex-marshal from back east, and he
Whoa.
happens to be here, just passing through, stranger.
Hmm.
But we need you, and appeals to the humanity and gets them involved and going there, and they both learn from each other. It's that classic sort of mix up that's going there that is really what this book is, all while wearing a super bright, costume of a
Yeah.
superhero. But this is intrinsically a Western in space, beautifully rendered with, in the same way that Helen is sort of a fantasy and really lets Bilkis and Lopes kind of go crazy with the landscapes that they have here.
Hmm.
It's the same thing that Bilkis is doing in this, where she's getting to show these alien landscapes and just really just splash out with what she's doing there. So you know you could tell me that you are
Ooh.
you being anybody, like I am so not interested in a superhero comic.
Hmm.
you know, do you like True Grit? You ever see a John Wayne movie?
I'm from Texas, so of
I was
course.
gonna say you don't have the option of saying no wearing a black hat right now.
Nope.
It's going to be that sort of thing, and I think you could give it to them, and they'd be like, "Well, damn."
Mm. So here's my other question. Since I don't own it yet, should I go ahead and purchase the deluxe edition hardcover, or should I wait? I think you said that there's a possibility that there's going to be a. Well, I'll probably. You know what? I think I just answered my own question. I'll probably buy both because I'm
yeah,
going to do it with
that's
Helen too.
yeah, that's
Well, what I would say is, it's available on Hoopla. Uh,
Ah.
he said the thing. He said the
I
thing.
did it. Not
But
sponsored yet.
yeah,
yeah.
Hoopla, get at me. Uh, what I guess what I would say on that is, I would go for the deluxe right now.
Hmm.
I think that is it's a really nice product. I think it's only like $50
Yeah.
MSRP. So if you are checking out panel bound comics, if you're checking out in stock trades, you're going to get it for quite a bit less than that. And we know that that exists. That is a definite, it's there, it's something that you can have, and it lets you read the story now. Versus if you look at something and saying, I bet there's going to be an absolute edition of this, and I'm going to wait for that. Who knows how long you're going to be waiting for that? You're certainly not getting it now. And the whole point of
Hmm.
this exercise is we're trying to shame you into action and trying to read this. If you tell us that you haven't read it because you're waiting for the absolute to be the first thing, we're going to invite you on in a future episode just to shame you all over again. And then we're not going to post that. We're not even going to record it. It's just going to be
Yeah.
us there shaming you and saying, what are these choices you're making with your life, man? You're
Disagree with it
making us
all.
sad. We talked to your mom. She's worried about you.
She is worried, especially that I'm reading comics. No, no, no,
I'll
no,
rot your brain.
no. Yeah. Read real books. Yeah. No, I'm super excited to get to this one, and I'm upset that I did not pull the trigger on it when it was available at in-stock trades, because that's where I buy most of my stuff. And my cart is overloaded right now, and the reason I haven't pulled the trigger on anything in my cart is because that book's not available, and I need to just go ahead and grab it. I may even grab it this weekend when I'm out on the road. I'll be stopping by a few comic shops. To me, just alone from what you guys have said and from the work I've already experienced from these artists, this is a book that I would be willing to pay full MSRP for, hands down, without even having read it.
I so as you can see, I got this in single issues, so I paid $5 a piece for this across 8 issues.
Hmm.
So I paid 40 just for that, and at some
Yeah.
point I will own some type of upgraded edition. I don't know if because I have read it and I have a way to read it, I don't know that I'm going to get the deluxe. But if this comes out in an absolute, I will 100% be picking that up. I am not worried about double dipping on this. I am absolutely going to go ahead and do that.
So, as somebody who's not familiar with DC comics in general, explain to me what the absolute editions are. Are they oversized? Both of
Oh,
you guys are looking
oh,
around to
Yeah, I was
grab
like,
one. I know it. Grab one
yeah,
so
we
I
got a
can
couple
see.
like
And
over there, but Bunk has them
it's
closer.
different from the absolute series that's going on right
yes.
now.
Correct.
Okay, all
Yeah.
Yes,
right. Just want to make sure
So
because I've read some of
because
that.
why make it confusing, DC?
Okay.
What
Well, yeah, why?
yeah.
All right. So, a little quick primer for anyone who's watching about different sizes. So, whenever you refer to something as standard size, you mean it's the size of a comic book. So, this right here, as you can see, it's I don't know the exact dimensions, but it's a comic book size. The next size up from there is what we typically refer to as oversize. So that's going to be your kind of omnibus size. Here, since we were oh oh man, I need to
Like, oh.
He's got to rearrange all over
Yeah, now
again.
he's gonna spend some
yeah, I
hours
did not realize how
rearranging. Like, oh, this should
tight
go
I
actually
put
over
these in.
here.
All right. We were talking about this
That
before.
There it
This
is.
is
there's a
the
big
Venom
honking
by
book.
Donny Cates omnibus. So this, to kind of put in comparison, a little bit taller, a little bit wider.
Hmm.
You can see now it's hardcover, so there is a little bit of a lip, but also if we look at just sort of the pages against each other,
Yeah, still a little bit bigger.
you can see
Yeah.
it's still bigger, it's still taller and wider than that. Not by a whole lot, but it is. Then we have our Absolute Edition. So Absolute
Ah.
Edition is proprietary branding by DC. There are other companies have different ones, and this is a big old book.
Mm,
So this is going to be basically your most premium version of a story that you can find. So
that's a self-defense weapon right there.
I'm you're
Yeah.
telling me.
That's going to
Uh,
stay by my bedside.
so these are basically um, the art is printed. I want to say this is like just a hair under a foot tall every page.
Mm,
You get crazy restoration, just beautiful art. Because and a fairly substantial price tag that comes with these. Because of that, DC, it's a big deal when they decide that they're going to print a story in the Absolute Edition,
yeah.
because there is such a high price tag that comes with it, because it is such a niche collector's item that there's a huge cost that goes with that. So
Hmm.
when DC decides they are going to print something in the absolute format, like it's that means something.
So
Yeah.
much so that Death of Superman they've printed in so many different formats. There's never been an absolute Death of Superman, and that's coming out soon. But like, I was like, why has that never happened? Like, I don't
Hmm.
understand. Like, but now
Well, because
that's when
certain people were hoarding all the original art pages, and
I wish, I wish I had them all. But yeah, no, so yeah, it's a huge deal when they do absolutes, and I feel like with the attention that the movie is going to bring to the story, I just it wouldn't surprise me if that happens sooner rather than later. But I do
Hmm.
think the deluxe just came out within the past year, so
Oh, okay.
um,
I need
yeah,
to get the deluxe before they put a sticker on it that says now a major
yeah,
motion
yeah.
picture. I don't like
Then you feel like
that.
you're too late. You're like, yeah, you just
Oh,
rebooted
this
the
isn't.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah.
isn't fun anymore.
Yeah, when like the cover of the book is actually a still from the movie.
Ugh.
You're like, oh
oh
no.
God,
Yeah.
oh.
Mm-mm. Why cover up that beautiful art?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. No.
So with that, Delta, are you feeling sufficiently shamed? Are you questioning your life decisions that didn't lead you to reading it earlier?
You know, I do feel a little shamed, but I think the most important thing is that the amount of disappointment that you guys feel in yourself does not even come close to the amount of disappointment I feel in myself. So I think I've kind of shamed myself as well. It always takes me back to, like you said at the beginning of the show, that episode from one of my all-time favorite shows, Andy Griffith, when Opie asks his pa, "Are you mad at me?" And he goes, "No, I'm just disappointed in you." And that's what I'm feeling right now. It
Yeah.
just
He
it's
said the
kind of soul
name of the
crushing.
episode. He
Yeah.
brought it full circle. That was our. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I feel good with where we got. I feel like everyone, mostly, put that little the screw of shame on that we were looking for, and I think we all kind of grew as people and also shrank a little bit, which is honestly the only thing that we are looking for here. That takes us to our next segment, Life Outside of Comics, where we talk about one thing that is just living in our head rent free from outside of the world of comics. Delta, what is going on as you
Mm.
look around, maybe look behind you? What is happening in your life right now that is, for whatever reason, occupying space in your brain?
Toy photography is what's occupying my brain. I come from a past of professional photography and film. And I'll be honest, I felt really, really down and depressed this past year because all my subjects, all my models just didn't want to do photography anymore. And I was like, I'm just gonna get rid of all this stuff. But I decided, why don't I just use my skills and the money I've spent in toy photography, and I've had such a fun time getting some more premium figures like this Mythic Legions toy, and just taking the time of kind of reteaching myself the basics of photography at a much smaller scale because for photographing this instead of this is a whole lot different.
Hmm.
But just being able to kind of jump back into that world and have fun has been really freeing, especially as making videos about Transformers comics and other comics is still fun. There is a little bit of a chore aspect to it because I've been doing it enough. The toy photography kind of has become that hobby of this is for me. This is the time that I get to spend for myself, and I do show it off on social media here and there. Um, but for the most part, I go show my wife, and she's like, "No, very cool," and I'm like, "This is so awesome." So that's what's been on my mind. I try my hardest right now not to buy too many figures because I need to spend what little money I have on comics, but every now and then I'll see something I'm like, I gotta take photos of that figure. It's gonna look awesome. So that's what's been on my mind lately.
I will say that for the money, those Mythic Legion figures are pretty great. It's like a fantasy based line. There's like
Hmm.
what draws me to those. There's all types of characters, but the knight type. There's like a Templar knight
Yeah,
figure. Like those are the figures that
I
are
love
really cool.
knights,
So
and
yeah,
they're a little more expensive than your average action figure. And this being my first one, I got it in hand, and I immediately went, I
I get it.
understand why this is
Yeah,
expensive. This is a premium product. Um, this is probably the only toy in my room that my niece, who's about 5, cannot play with.
cannot. Yeah,
This,
yeah.
no, not this one. You can play with the
That's
$400 Lego cat set. That's fine,
that's
but
fine.
not this.
Yeah. So nice.
That's awesome, Matt. It makes me really happy to hear like you rediscovering the joy that you thought was gone. Just
Hmm.
anytime I think everyone who's been here, unless you are new to comics, like you mentioned, Delta, has had that aspect at some point where we rediscovered comics, we rediscovered that joy that kind of came with it. I don't know
Hmm.
anyone who is reading comics now that hasn't had some kind of break during it, myself included, and just sort of
Hmm.
that joy of coming back to it and being like, "Oh yeah, I
This is why I
did
love it.
used to love this." Yeah,
Yeah.
and whatever it is, just like being able to rediscover something, and especially in your case, in a changing context. I
Hmm.
think that's rad, man. I'm really happy.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
And I really like the photos that you're taking. You showed
Oh.
some GI Joe classified,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
some
yeah,
online. Those were really
it's
nice.
that's another thing. I didn't grow up with GI Joe, and now I collect GI Joe figures when I can.
Yeah,
I've got a few on the shelf, and I blame Carl partially for that as well.
you're welcome.
Man, so much money.
I
You're
would
welcome.
honestly blame Robert Kirkman and the Energon universe. I
Yeah,
mean, really, like it all comes from there.
yeah.
It's true. It's true.
How about you, Carl? What's living in your head rent free these days?
Something that I shared a little bit before we came on here, but there is a movie coming out next month called Tron
Ah,
Ares. I cannot explain to you what the Tron franchise means to me. Like, I love those movies.
special.
I love the original. Let's see, I got
Got some of the original figures.
well, it's the Diamond Select figure, but there's
Oh yeah,
a
yeah.
Tron figure. So yeah, 1982 Tron came out and blew my mind. I didn't see it in 1982. I was like three. But when I
It's
saw that
calculating his
movie,
age.
yeah, I know,
I'm
old. That's why I'm tired. The it was like the world inside a video game, and it was a cutting edge, technical wonder that the movie, presented this digital world, 1982, and it just blew minds, and yeah, and then there was a sequel made in 2010, which was Tron Legacy, and that was such a visual feast. It had music by Daft Punk, and the plot. I mean, it's not the strongest plot of a movie, but it's the
Mm-mm.
the experience of watching it. And I've watched that movie so many times. I just have it on in the background. The music's great. It's just an experience. So, with that said, they are finally making a third movie, Tron Ares, which comes out in, like, I think it's October 10th. I think is when the
It
release
is,
date.
yeah.
But they recently released the first song, and since Daft Punk is no longer together, the music is composed by Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails fame, and the techno aspect of the song they released, I'm sold, and I can't wait
Hmm.
to watch this movie. And I don't get excited for a lot of movies anymore. It's just I'll watch it when I watch it, and that's no big deal. But like this, I want to go watch it in IMAX because it's a
Hmm.
visual experience, and and audio, and I need to see it in IMAX, and I am super pumped to go do that.
Are you seeing it opening night? Because I am.
Probably not. I probably
Oh,
won't be
okay. All
able
right.
to. I mean, I'll see. I mean,
That's
I'll
fair.
see what. It depends. If I can
Yeah.
get out, I absolutely will. But I don't know. It might be more of
Yeah.
like a maybe some time during the weekday sometime and like sneak
Hmm.
out of the house. But yeah, we'll see.
As someone who did not watch the original Tron until I want to say in my teenage years, you talk about Tron Legacy not having the strongest plot. Um,
All the money for Tron was like in
In the
the
visuals.
visual effects. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I just, maybe maybe cast a an aspersing eye back to that original and figure out the plot going on there. Tron's never been about the plot. It's all been that sweet computer water and getting drunk off it.
Yeah.
It's
As
true.
a quick aside, because I'm such a fan of like I was a fan of the original movie, I was at a wedding one time, and my friend's uncle is a character he played in the original Tron movie called Crom. He was a program that
Really?
yeah. So then I found myself like
Wow.
sitting next to this guy, like, oh my God, you were in Tron. he was also in Babylon 5, but I never really cared for Babylon 5. But his
Oh.
his fame was primarily for his role on Babylon 5. I'm
So
just like,
Carl, you're famous.
I was like,
You're
oh
technically in.
God,
That's
it's Grom
crazy.
from Tron. Yeah. And he's like, yeah,
Can you
I
get
know.
an autograph from me?
I don't know. We'll see. But
Oh,
I couldn't. I was like Star Trek, and I'm like, and he's like Tron. Like that's the thing that you're like. I'm like, yeah, I love Tron.
yeah, yeah.
So it
If I
was.
could say a quick little thing about Tron, I have to say this. I have a podcast I'm gonna be on with a buddy when Tron comes out. They do movie reviews, and originally I was very upset that Tron really only had big installments like almost every 10, 15, 20 years. And I think now as I've gotten older, it's more special to me. Carl, maybe you agree that Tron is it's not overblown. It's not every year there's a show or it's just like, hey, there's a Tron movie coming out, and you're like, man, I have to think back and have nostalgia for the last time I went to the theaters and saw Tron. So I kind of like that.
I think not again. I'm sorry. This is going to not to turn this into a Tron thon, but the idea that it's like a generational thing, and
Hmm.
I think for a movie based on technical aspects and what it provides, I think it's helpful that it only comes around once every 15, 20 years or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
I do not consider myself a big Tron fan, but I'm can't say I'm super excited about the new movie going on. I did see Legacy. I thought it was pretty fun. I saw the original. I thought it was pretty fun. But to your point about it being special that it's there, I 100% agree on there. I'm someone that for a lot of my life growing up, I said that Empire Strikes Back was my favorite movie. And when the prequels were announced, I was so excited, and I, was making special, I was finding the time even as a teenager and didn't have my own, way to get to the theater when those were going on for the early ones. I was making sure that I was like lining up and like I have to go ahead and seeing them, and even if they weren't great, it was still a big deal that they were coming out.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And then that was not the case. Then they were like, "You like Star Wars, huh, kid? Here's
Every
all the
year.
Star Wars you could get."
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
very much so.
I mean,
Hmm.
like again, I do think sometimes, sadly, on Star Wars because I'm someone that I don't really consider myself a Star Wars fan now. I don't really care about anything that's going on. And when I think back to how much that series meant to me, and again, a large portion of my life, Empire was my favorite movie, not my favorite Star Wars movie, my favorite movie. It makes me a little sad that, basically Disney has, in my mind, like run this franchise into the ground, not necessarily with a quality thing. I'm not here to try and say like, the product was so much better when it was under Lucasfilm that
Hmm.
that Disney killed it or anything like that. It's more just to your point. It was such a big deal that you stopped what you were doing when you got that next little taste of it
Hmm.
and you went out and you did it. And there's something so special about those franchises that stick with that now. And I honestly I don't really know anyone in my life that is a big Tron fan, but like I'm getting excited hearing how excited you guys are about that. I'm like, I get it.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna see it, but I'm excited that
But
you guys are.
yeah,
Now the Tron comics, you can skip those.
yeah. I don't
You
think
can
I've
skip
ever
those.
read anything outside
You
of
can skip them.
yeah, yeah. So
And the novels. You can skip them.
skip all of it. Just the movies.
Yeah. Yeah, just watch the three movies and what
You
I like to do when people ask me about them, I sit there and go, they look cool. I like them.
Yeah, and that's the
And
thing.
that's what I
Uh,
get.
The beautiful thing is this does not have to be a fantastic movie. I
Hmm.
just want to go and have my senses entertained. So,
Yep.
If
yeah.
there is not a light cycle race in this, can this movie still be a success in your mind?
No, but the good news is I believe there's a boat cycle chase in this as well.
All right,
They've
that's
got
pretty
boats
rad.
this time. Yeah, I know
Yeah.
it took them
Are they
like
are they
what,
like jet
15 years?
skis?
They got boats now.
Yeah.
I think they have those.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Every
But
few years we get a new
I do
vehicle.
believe in the trailer there already were some light cycles, so it's
Yeah.
happening.
Now in my
But
mind, I'm just imagining light schooners, and so it's instead of jet skis, just like these big barges, but like you have this like neon light that's trailing, and it's like going through a canal, and it's like after him, chase him.
There actually, just so you know, Bunk, there actually is a light moped in the Tron animated series, which is actually a really good show. It's only one season, but I do believe, if I recall correctly, there's a character who has a light moped, and that's the joke is that he doesn't get a cycle.
Well, I was gonna
So
say nothing is more 80s than a character having a moped.
they do have the wind sail, but I want to see a parasail. I want to see a light
Mm.
parasail. That it's just you're it's still tethered to something, and you're trying to like, can you just turn over there? And then
I'm gonna
I want to
fall
see that.
off.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
All right, pretty rad, pretty rad.
Bunk, what about you? What's living in your head rent free?
Oh man. So the last time that we did one of these, this is likely, going out of order. But the last time we sit here and basically anytime I've been in front of a screen
Yeah,
talking about things in a live fashion, I have talked about how excited I am for the video game Hollow Knight Silk Song,
Oh yeah.
and I am still adoring it.
Is it crushing you?
It's crushing me, but in a way that I'm like, step
You
on the
enjoy it. Yeah,
quarter.
yeah. It's
good
it's a
crush.
good type of crushing. Yeah. Yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
I played and beat and loved the original Hollow Knight to the tune of finishing 109% on it,
Mm.
which is not going completely. There are some challenges in that are insane that I would not even attempt. But I did a lot of the stuff. In the 5 years between that came out, I watched videos about the lore going into it and like kind of went back through. And it has a really special place in my heart in that I was playing through that when my daughter was born. And so when I was staying up until like 3 in the morning with her to make sure that she was fine, like I was playing that game and just like as I was experiencing like exploring life as a dad, I was exploring this game. And so it's so like the franchise is so linked with my memories there, that I just like it's one of my most affectionate games, and
Mm.
I certainly don't like this from a gameplay perspective, and also just sort of a lore and setting wise as much as the original Hollow Knight. But I'm still absolutely enraptured to the point that I have basically forced myself to stop playing it during the weeknight, because it took over every free moment of my time and then ate more time that was not free.
Mhm.
When it was the kind of thing that like the kids were in bed, I was like, okay, oh, there's a football game on. I'll just like sort of have this on while I'm watching that and I'll do that. And then it was like, I'm not watching the football game at all. Now the football game is over. Now it's 1 in the morning. Now it's 2 in the morning, and I need to
Mhm.
wake up in 4 hours to get my kids up and then go to work. And it's just like it was anything productive in my life came to a crashing halt when that was there. And I had to just like hard stop and just like listen, you do not get to allow yourself to do that because I would tell myself, oh, I'm gonna pick up, I'm just gonna do one more run. And one more run never happened.
Never.
It was one more hour before the next hour you will play, and that will precede the next hour. So,
Mm.
yeah, I am thinking very longingly about Silksong and wishing that I was
Have you
playing
been
it.
playing it while we're talking here? Is that it's off screen?
I mean, if you were able to, like, congratulations to you. Like that would be insane to me because I have found I can't effectively, at least for the sections I'm at, exploring the map, which is my favorite thing to do. One of
Hmm.
my criticisms with the game is that I think there are too many bosses. Um, I that's sort of by design. They wanted to put more of an
Hmm.
emphasis on combat, which is fine. It's a design choice, but I don't like it as much as the pure exploration that you had from the first game.
Yeah.
And it also does mean that, there are I've played a lot of, trying to go through bosses while I'm doing something else and a little bit of frustration, not necessarily with like how much I'm dying, but sort of as I'm playing it, I'm like, I know this guy is not this hard and I'm dying more than I should be, and I know that's on me
Yeah.
because I'm not paying attention to this the way that I should.
Hmm.
But yeah, anytime I'm doing anything that's not playing Silk Song, there is a little voice in my head that's like, what if you weren't doing that? And what if you were just playing Silk Song? I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what, voice? You've got a point.
Well, for as excited as you were for this game, I'm happy to hear that it has taken over your life. That's
Yeah, there are I am someone that is prone to fixations, and sort of like throwing myself into a thing that's going there. But I'm usually okay at sort of giving it space and like, yes, it's going to eat up a lot of my time. Yes, I might be getting less sleep than normal, but like it's not devouring my life. Silk Song is something that I've had to put hard stops into place and being
it's like
like, I can't trust myself to just do
yeah,
this on its
Yeah.
own. Like I gotta, like I have a whole like checklist. Like, is it okay to pick up my Switch now?
right.
If yes,
Or
go to question two and continuing to go on. And then
the
it's like
next
only
6
if all of
hours
them are
free.
checked yes, are you allowed to play Silk Song.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, we've done our shaming. We've done our bonding. We've done our crying. We've done our troning. And all in all, I think outside of an evening spent playing Silk Song, that's about as nice of an evening as you can hope for. I do want to thank our guest here, Delta. Coming on, willing to be shamed and willing to, personally, I'm biased here because I was part of it, but I do think the best shaming of the night was us shaming Carl for God Country. So
I agree.
I want to
I
say
agree.
bravo on that. I could see as we
Yeah.
were doing it the life drain from his eye and be like, my God,
Yeah.
I need to
I could see
read.
him tensing in his chair and gripping
It's
Yeah.
true.
the
It's
edges of
true.
his table.
I was like, man, why the heck have I not read this book? So
So,
well done,
uh,
guys.
as we mentioned, I am sure this will not be the last time that everyone here is going to see Delta here on the Tired Dads Comic Club. But in the meantime, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on my main channel on YouTube, Delta Tryon. That's where I talk about Transformers, mainly the Transformers comic that's currently going on by Image Skybound. But I also have a second channel where I show my face, as haunting as it is sometimes, called Delta Comics, where I talk about other comics. And those are both on YouTube, and that's really the only place I'm at right now. I'm not using any other social medias at the time, but that's the best place to catch me yapping about comics and Transformers as well.
Yeah, and if you are someone out there who has enjoyed the conversations that Carl and I have had previously and kind of the books we've been covering, I highly, highly, highly suggest you go out and check out Delta Comics. I feel like I don't need to say anything about Delta Tryon. You have
It's
your
big
core
enough.
audience
I'm
there.
over with it. I don't care about that. I'm joking.
Yeah, yeah. But Delta Comics, the thing that I love about it is sort of it's us getting to watch you explore and discover the things that you
Mhm.
love. And I think there is something absolutely beautiful there. Whereas Delta Tryon, your main one, is a lot more deep dive. If you love
Mhm.
Transformers, go off and check that out. There's so many great things. You can check out Mrs. Delta names Transformer robots. Always a fun
Great
watch
time.
there.
Yeah.
Or you can see why the worst Transformer ever is, in fact, a pretty cool little dude named Ballpoint.
Yes.
We'll put links to both of those down below. But again, thank you so much for making the time and coming on with us here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for shaming me. I got to go buy a book now, apparently. Lots of
I
books.
Yeah, I was gonna say with your weekend plans, I feel like you're gonna be buying lots of those there, but
It's
maybe we're a little more
Yeah.
focused.
it's gonna happen.
Carl, as always, what do you got coming down the pipeline? Where can the people find you?
Well, I'm kind of on Carl's collection. I have a couple videos in the works. I don't have a lot of art. I have art that I'm acquiring. I'm in the process of acquiring. Nothing has arrived lately, so yeah. But I do have some other books I'm going to take a look at and some comics I'll be talking about. So that's over on the Carl's collection channel. So
Very cool. Very cool. I am, as always, Bunk Master B. You all have been amazing, and I'll see you next time.
take
See
care.
ya.